After converting the image to black and white, we are ready to start working on tonal adjustments in our image. Very important thing is to have the histogram tool, the histogram panel opened. So let's move over to the Photoshop menu bar, select Window, and from here, from the drop-down menu, select Histogram. Remember to have this graph opened all the time during the whole edit, because when we will be working on tonal adjustments, it's really crucial, it's a basic thing to keep an eye on the graph and to perform adjustments accordingly. So in this video we are going to add a contrast to our image. We are going to enhance lights and slightly darken shadows. In order to do this, we will add adjustment layer to the image. To add adjustment layer, you can either head over to the Photoshop menu bar and select Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and from here select Curves, but I would like to encourage you to use the shortcut, the shorter method. From the Layers panel, select this icon in the middle, and from the drop-down menu, select Curves. As you can see, similarly to the previous adjustment layer, the Curves adjustment layer has its own thumbnail and mask attached. So when I click on this thumbnail, my Properties window now displays properties for the Curves adjustment layer. To take care of lights and shadows, let's zoom out a bit. To increase highlights and to maybe slightly increase shadows as well, to expand tonal range of our image, as you can see in the right hand side, the highlights are completely missing. We need to add 2 control points to this diagonal line. This graph here in the background is exactly the same data as in the histogram. So the right hand side represents highlights, the left hand side represents shadows in the image, and the middle part of the graph represents midtones. So in order to enhance highlights, I need to add 1 control point in the highlights area. So by clicking on this diagonal line, I have added control point. Next, I will add another control point to take care of the shadows in the image. Now, in order to enhance highlights, in order to make them brighter, all I need to do is to click on this point and start dragging it upwards. And usually I would drag this second point that is controlling shadows downwards. That way I have changed this line into S shape. That's why the operation is called S-shaped curve. However, in case of our image, we already had very deep shadows as a starting point, so I'm not going to touch this point. I will leave it as it was. Maybe I just push it really slightly downwards. All I need to do, all that is important at this stage, is to enhance highlights in the photograph. Notice that when I'm pulling this point downwards, more to the middle of the graph, I'm increasing midtones in the photograph. So play around. The point is to make the brightest tones stronger. As you can see, when I release the point, the graph already got extended. So now if I move over to the Layers panel and toggle off this layer by clicking on this little icon with the eye, we can see how the image looked like before applying the S-shaped curve and how it looks like after applying the S-shaped curve. So I'm very happy with the highlights here. I just want to remove this darkening in that part of the image. It's very simple. I just have to mask this adjustment. At the moment the mask is white, which means that all these adjustments are visible. To make these adjustments disappear in this part of the image, I have to paint over the white mask with black color. So I'm hitting on the mask, selecting brush by hitting B on my keyboard. I will be painting with black color, so I'm hitting X to swap these color samples. Let's increase size of the brush a little bit. Opacity 60 is fine. And now I'm going just quickly paint over this area to remove the contrast adjustment from that part of the image. Let's move a little bit stronger here. As you can see here, in this mask thumbnail, it's showing the operation. Okay, so that way, by applying the S-shaped curve, we have increased contrast in our image. Let's have a look how the image looked like at the beginning, just after turning it to black and white, and that's our next step after increasing contrast, after enhancing the highlights in the portrait.